Can cognitive brain training help you improve your performance on an aerobic endurance test? Let's find out. The Journal of Science in Medicine and Sport in May 2023 published a new article talking about how brain endurance training can improve endurance and cognitive performance in road cyclists. Now, if you've read the book Endure by Alex Hutchinson, you may be familiar with the concept of using cognitive type exercises to help improve aerobic endurance performance. In the book, Alex uses himself as a case study to see if doing something called a stroop test for 20-30 minutes at a time as part of his training would help him improve his running performance and running capacity. So if you don't know what a stroop test is, this is an example. So basically you're looking at colors and you're looking at the spelling of the word and actually what the color of the word is written in. So if I said, tell me what the color of the text is written in, the first row you would say green, yellow, red, green, yellow. If I told you to do the opposite and said, please read the color in order, you would say blue, red, yellow, blue, red. So this is a cognitive strategy called response inhibition. It means you're given two pieces of information and you're trying to make the brain decide which information to pay attention to, and the conflicting information makes you work a little bit harder to figure out what the actual solution is. So with this strategy, it takes a lot of activity coming from an area of your brain called the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. So whenever people put through this type of test, then we're making them challenge this part of their brain. So what happened? The authors took cyclists and they had them go through two studies. One was a time to exhaustion test at 80 and 65%, and another test was a rated perceived exertion, meaning how tired were you when you were doing some of these tests. So they did two separate studies. In the time to exhaustion test, the experimental group got cognitive training after each of their training sessions. So after they would do their normal bike riding, they would have to do 30 minutes of that stroop test after each training session. After several weeks, they had them do another time to exhaustion test, and while both groups improved, the ones that got the cognitive training improved by a significant amount more than the cyclists that got a control situation where they just sat in the room and recovered without doing any type of cognitive training. So the interesting pieces of this study is that not only was the time to exhaustion much longer inside of the cognitive training group, but they also rated their perceived exertion as significantly less when they got the cognitive training compared to those that didn't get the cognitive training. The other interesting thing is that both groups had similar improvements in their VO2 max and their lactate levels, which means from a cardiovascular standpoint, they were pretty similar, but one was able to endure more unpleasantness because of the cognitive training, which suggests that the brain training helped improve the brain's tolerance to do something unpleasant. So think about how cognitive training might help improve your tolerance towards different unpleasant things like pain itself.